Okay, so today we're talking about programming here in U166. I'm going to give you guys some techniques that may help you. We talked about these a little bit in class the other day, and I want to continue with that. So to give you some feel on how I go about doing this product. So let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and create a run. First thing I want to do, as I mentioned, is I want to make sure that when I start a program, it's always started as a one-shot trigger. So I'm just going to grab a contact here. Maybe I got an extra rung in here. Grab an address from here. Come in here. Throw a one-shot rising in here. I'm going to grab a B3 colon 4/0. Using my fourth word for one shot, so I don't have any chance of overwriting. And I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to go at my B3 colon 0 slash. I'm going to start with, like, say 5, just in case I have to add some more logic. So now this, I can download this, if you can see here, download the PLC. Go to run mode. And I can watch this output. As you can see, it's triggering the one shot. I don't see this take place because it happened so fast. So I need to create some more logic. So I'm going to go back to program mode here. Add another run. I didn't want to do that. I thought I was going to be able to. There is no undo, that's right. Forgot about that. See here, I want that. Probably want that. I want this. That there. If you watch me develop this, it's pretty easy to develop the code when you're doing all the rung stuff at the same time, then go back and address it later. So I want to drag this address. We gotta do Control C, Control V here. I don't remember how that works. I can just do this here. Control V, /6. Again, cut and paste is definitely a way to go here. Control V, and then Control V, and make that a 7. So I want to call this start system one shot. I'm going to call this system running. And I'm going to say, let's do some simple process like I'd like to do pick and places. So let's do a pick and place. So first thing we got to do, if we're thinking of a pick and place, is we have to lower the gripper down. So we're going to say lower gripper. So now we download this information, switch it back to run mode, and we trigger that one shot again. And as you can see, we've triggered the one shot, allowing us to seal in the system running. So now at this very moment, I know that my system's running. So now, once my system is running, I go back offline. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show you an easier way to do that. I'm going to go here, Control C, Control V. I think Control C, copy run, paste run. So now I've got paste rung in there. So now all I gotta do is just do this here. That's that address. Triggers this contact. This address. If I go here, maybe I can do that same thing again. I did that. This goes here. And this gets incremented by 1. 8. So now I gotta find, say, some sort of signal. Say, let's say system's running. We got the gripper up. So let's make sure it's raised. So I'm gonna grab an input from here. Oh, I gotta have a contact here. Well, that's my start. I should label that as my start. I'm catching myself at not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Start system PB. Okay. Edit symbol. One shot. System one shot. Okay, we got everything. Okay, now I should probably have some sort of stop in here too, so I'll probably use 1 for stop. Let's start at 2 here. I'm going to say about gripper raised. Keep things simple. So before I can lower the gripper, I got to make sure that it's all the way raised up. This is a good practice to make sure that the system has got some checks and balances along the lines of validating the information. So let's see how that flies here. So we're going to go ahead and download that. Switch to run mode. Again, I have got this triggered on, so if I can toggle this, I don't know if I can toggle this off. Or data tape, I guess. This is B3. Oh, B3, I need binary. I want data tail, data binary. B36, enter 0 in there. How about B37? I got a 1 in there. Am I in run mode? Online. There we go. I don't get it. There it goes. Okay. All right, got it. So now I trigger this guy here. 1 0. He comes on. He stays on. See how he stays on? So the system stays running. And then I come into here and I hit 1 2. Now it's telling the system to lower gripper. The next step of this would be to say gripper is lowering. Now, you might think this is an intermediate step, but the idea behind this is to keep, go back offline here, to keep the information flowing. So the more information you have, the less trouble you're going to end up with. So let's go ahead and add this symbol and say gripper lowering. So now I'm lowering the gripper. So the next piece of this is going to be what? Copy run, paste run. Oh, keep doing that, I guess. Paste run. Okay, so now I'm going to take this 3.7, drag it over here. I'm going to go say 1, 2. Oop, I want to go here. Oh, there we go, change to an XIO. Here. Add an 8. And drag the 8 over here. And make this a 9. Okay, so you guys are kind of getting a feel for how easy this really is. So what did I do here? I just said system running, so you can see the steps. I got hit here, this clicks this on. I say system running. So when the gripper is raised, I can tell the lower gripper. Once I see lower gripper, I can say gripper is lowering as soon as what? As soon as it's not raised anymore. So as soon as it comes off that raised switch, now I can say it's lowering. Let's test this. We can test this very easily. So let's go ahead and download this. Put it in run mode again. I need to trigger, reset this. I mean, I think I can even do this in here. Simulations. No, I guess I can't. I gotta be in program mode way to do that. Nope, it doesn't work. Okay. Oh, yes, it does. Okay, good. Okay, so it's all reset. All right, I'm in run mode. I'm going to go ahead and trigger the start. Okay, gripper raised. That is supposed to be on. Yes, that is supposed to be on. Gripper raised. So I'm going to go ahead and here, I'm going to click this guy on. So that gives me system start. It came right through it, triggered this guy. Said, okay, system starting. Now I've got system running. I got gripper raised, lower gripper. So I'm telling the gripper to lower now. So what I would do is I'd tie that to my output at the bottom of the program and say lower gripper. Then we come over here, B307, clicks this on. So guess what's going to happen the second I turn I12 off to say lower gripper's lowering. So as soon as I click this guy off, this guy's coming on. And you see how I'm developing this code using cut and paste, and I'm able to validate each piece of this before I even tie in the real world outputs and all the stuff that's going to cause this stuff to go clickety click click click. Okay, we don't want that clickety click click click, because then what happens is we lose track of what's happening all at the same time. This gives us a one-piece operation. You know, like I mentioned in class, you know, how do you develop it? One byte at a time. This is exactly what we're doing here. So we're going to go, what are we going to do next? We're going to go back offline or program mode. Going to copy run, paste run. You're going to be seeing a lot of this here. So I'm going to take 3.8 here. So what do you think the next piece is? I'm lowering the gripper. I'm going to have lowered, right? So I'm going to come into here. Let's grab 1.3. I'm going to call this gripper lowered. 3.9. Add a symbol here. This is going to be gripper. Okay, sorry about that. Gripper lowered. I'm at lowering gripper. Gripper lowered. Three nine gripper lowered. We got to make sure we get this in all the right spots here. 3.9, AQ 310. So now I've got lower gripper, gripper not raised anymore. Gripper lowering, gripper lowered. So now I've got gripper lowering, gripper lowered. That should be what? Some way I should be able to switch that to that. There we go. That's what I'm after. So now I've got lowering gripper, gripper lowered. So now I got gripper lowered here, and I've got gripper lowered here, so that seals that in. Now what should this be? This should be, let's say we got gripper lowered. Now we talked about this class as well. When we lowered that gripper, we can't just quick snap those grippers closed. Why? Because that lowering of that process it causes some vibration and some shake in the system, and we don't want to drop the product. So we want to put a delay in there. So I'm going to say something like gripper lowered, maybe timer done. How about that? Okay. So here, this is going to be slightly different. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go, I'm going to grab a contact here, say gripper lowered. And then I'm going to throw a timer on here. Let's grab like T4 colon 10. Why not? We want a base of, yeah, that's fine. We'll do a preset of, we'll do 1 second just for. So now what this is going to do is it's going to say, when the timer is done. Now, granted, I could take this done bit, I could stuff it right here, and that would work just fine. Or I could create another run of logic. I could come in here and grab this guy, copy run, paste run, and I could grab this done bit here, stuff him right there. Whoop, I did not work. I did not like that. What if I can do this? T4 backslash done. How about that? There, right like that. So I'm going to say gripper lowered timer done. And then I could say what? I could say I could leave the input there if I wanted to. Wouldn't hurt anything. So I see this on for 1 second. I see this guy comes on. This guy is definitely on. So this, it doesn't hurt to leave an extra bit or two. I mean, for simplicity's sake, it might be just easier to wipe it out. So you're not analyzing another bit because you've got that bit captured right here. The problem that you may run into though is that if that were to ever turn off, once it was down, it would still capture it. Still, if there's a problem with that sensor kind of thing, it still captures this. So we still complete the process. The challenge would be is the next cycle it may give us some trouble because when it gets to this position here where the gripper's down, it may not get to this point of open gripper, but that's fine. So let's grab this information here, bring it over here, and bring him to an OLED. We haven't tested in a while. Let's do that. Let's do that now. Download this information. Okay, I need the gripper to start the system. It's going to be start out raised, so I12 has to be on. All my bits are off. This is the way I want to start my system. I want to download this to the PLC. And I want to go to run mode. Oh. Okay. What do I see right away causing me trouble? Well, 3.8 just turned on. Why did that turn on? Let's see here. Let's go to the data table, see if I can turn him off. 3.8. Okay. I'm not sure what triggered him, but let's see if we can figure this out. We're going to have to click this. We went from system running. Well, the system running, as you can probably guess, probably doesn't have to be there. I just threw an extra bit in there so we can get a handle on how this whole piece is going to come together. So we got lower gripper now. So now we're telling the gripper to lower. We're waiting for it to come off that raised sensor to start gripper lowering. So let's go ahead and open this up. So envision the gripper starting its way down, so it's going to turn off that input. Okay. So that input is going to be off. So now we got lower gripper off and gripper lowering. So now we're envisioning this gripper lowering down into the nest of where the product is at. Next piece of this is we've got, what do we got here? We got lowering the gripper, gripper lowering, and now we got a gripper lowered. So now I've got this input 3 that's got to turn on. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to click on input 3. Boom, input 3 comes on. We saw the timer time, and we saw gripper lowered, timer done. So can you imagine what we do next? Once we get the timer done, we're going to do what? We're going to go and we're going to close the grippers. So I'm going to copy this rung, paste this rung. I'm going to grab this guy here, throw him in there. I'm going to say, once that timer is done, I'm going to go to here, go to all 11. And 11's going to be what? What's the 11 going to be? 11's going to be close grippers. So that's 11. And then I bring 11 over here. And this will be 12. So, one of the pieces that I want to share at this moment is closed grippers. Now, if you can envision, quite often in a pick and place, the amount of time that it takes to raise and lower a lift is going to take a lot more time than open and close grippers. So, not usually would I put an intermediate section between open and closed grippers because it happens so fast. Usually there's like, it's less than a second that grippers go from open to close or close to open. And so usually I do not do an intermediate section for something that happens so fast. Whereas, say for instance, the lift is lowering, it takes 3.5 seconds to lower or something like that. In that process, a lot of things can happen to interrupt the cycle. If that cycle gets interrupted, we want to make sure that it can recover. And by having that intermediate step of gripper lowering, we have the information captured. We're telling it that it is lowering. So if anything were to happen, like somebody opens up a gate and the machine stops, when they close that gate, the logic captured that information saying gripper lowering, and so the program will continue from this point forward executing the program. You see where I'm going with this? So with this being set on still, if we had an interruption of the process, the next step it knows it has to do is close or gripper lowered. And so it would continue with that path. Now, grippers open, grippers closed. Even if somebody opens the door when this is triggered, most likely those grippers are going to continue to close because they happen so fast. It's like, these are driven by pneumatics or hydraulics, usually pneumatics, and they happen so fast that even if you open up the door in the middle of that process, most likely it still closes the grippers. So, and that information would stay active until you told the grippers to open anyway. So you'd be okay with all that information. Okay, so now we've reached a point of closed grippers. Now what do you think we got to do next? We got to make sure we got the grippers closed. We might even want to do a delay. Let's go back to a delay again. So what have we got here? We've already got this logic developed here. So we go here, we go copy run, paste run. Again, it's so much better to do a cut and paste than it is to create. So it's so much faster. Close grippers is right, and then we got to make sure we grab the next timer, right? T411. Oh, got a preset of about 1 second. I'll put 5 seconds on this one. It doesn't have to have it, but I'll do 1. Oh, that's 1/10 of a second. So we got 10 seconds on that. One of the things that I used to do, and when I was programming all the time, is I would set all my timers to the value of 5 seconds. Why? Because that way I knew it wasn't going to be a timer problem when I was troubleshooting. Everything was set to 5 seconds. So if something happened while I was programming and something happened with like a 5-second delay, I knew it had something to do with the timer. Like I had a bit that was in the wrong state or something going on with the timer in my logic caused me trouble. So that's a good rule of thumb there. So now I've got this timer in there. So what do you think I do next? I'm going to do the same thing I did up here. I'm going to capture that information, copy run, paste run. This time I got to address this to what? Not 10, but 11. This is grippers closed timer done. So what we're doing here is just close the grip. So again, we got to make sure we got that product really good before we start raising it. If we have any hiccups, like say as soon as we close that grip, we pull up. Think of it as like when you want to pick up something off the ground, and if you pick it up and try throwing it or moving it really fast, quite often it dislodges from your hand and will get whipped across the room. Well, that's what we want to avoid. We don't want any product to get tossed around the room. We want to be able to grab it, hold on to it for a second, make sure we got a good grip on it, and then pick it up. So that's what we want to think about. We want to think about a lot of things the same way mechanically as we'd be doing it, you know, whether we're looking at a robot or if we're looking at a pick and place or whatever mechanical thing is going on. We got to remember there's mechanics involved. So T411 done. So here we're going to go to, this is going to be 12 here. Grippers, this is going to be called grippers close timer done. And you can follow a lot of these same formats. Like I use timer done. You might see time delay or something like that, because it's good to know when you're looking at a bit that there's a timer associated to it. So, and it's also good practice to say timer done, because it's like this is not going to turn on until the timer is done. It's not timer timing. It's not timer enabled. It's timer done. So it's just good practice. So here, I'm going to grab this 12, throw them over here. And as you can bet, I want to increase it by 1, 13. And this is going to be probably what? Raised grippers. So let's go ahead and download this again and see where we're at. All right, I don't see any. Oh, I do have a bit. Let's go ahead and turn him off. Okay, I got all my bits off. All Let's make sure this works still. Okay, so we come in here, 1, 0, 2's got to be, 3's got to be off, 2's got to be on, right? 2 is grippers raised, so we got the grippers raised. We've got the system is not started, so let's go ahead and start the system. So I started the system, as you can see here. The system went from running right to lower gripper. It's waiting for the gripper to raise input to turn off, so I'm going to go ahead and turn him off. So now we are lowering the gripper. Now we've got, what's the next piece of this is so gripper is lowering. Next piece is gripper lowered. So if I take I3, turn I3 on, now I get gripper lowered. As you saw, the timer timed here, and I got gripper lowered, timer done, and then close gripper turned on, and then gripper close, timer done took place, and we've got all the way down to here. Now let's add some time to this guy. I want you guys to see how this whole thing takes. Okay. Binary 312. What is 0? Okay, close this. Okay. Wait a minute. I didn't. I gotta turn this guy on. Zero 13 is on right now. Oh, I'm not in run mode, you knucklehead. Okay, there we go. Okay, all my bits are off. Okay, let's try that again. We'll turn 3 off, turn on 2. We'll start the system. Okay, we're sitting at lower gripper. We're gonna turn that off. So now I'm no longer at, gripper is lowering now. Next piece is I3. I'm going to turn that on to tell me that my gripper is lowered. So I'm going to see I3 turn on. You can see this timing. That's going to time out. Close grippers. At that point, it's going to wait 5 seconds, and then it's going to come out and say, grippers closed, timer done. So what's next now? We've closed the grippers. We waited that 5 seconds. What are we going to do next? We got to raise those grippers. We got to raise the grippers back to the top again, right? So to do that, what we have to do is the same thing we've been doing. So we've got the delay done on the grippers. So what's the next piece of this? Is what? Raise grippers. Now, you know, I just realized I didn't really put a lot of information together on this as far as, say, a signal to say grippers are closed. There'd probably be an input here. Something like saying grippers closed. We could put an input here, say closed grippers. We want to say that they're open before they're closed, kind of thing. And then grippers closed, timer done. So probably what I would do is something like this, or I'd either put it here or here. We could do either. just say grippers closed. Let's see, we used I3, let's use I4 next. There we go, I4. Close. I haven't been using this, but PRS would be like a process. I should be adding all these points. You guys are familiar with all those. This would be, PRS would be a proc switch, push button. So when you use external devices, you usually include what type of device it is. So this would probably be a proc switch as well. And this would be a proc switch as well. Okay, so now we've got a input saying that the grippers are closed. All right, so next piece of this we want to make sure is, you know, we should probably have this here as well. Or maybe just move that right there. Because we want to make sure that the grippers actually, that input has been on for the 5 seconds. So that would be better. Then, so we tell the grippers to close. We see the grippers close and we wait the 5 seconds after we see that input come on. Then we come into grippers close, timer done. So I think that's a better solution there. Let's do that. So next piece of this, and again, this is, 10 people will do it 10 different ways. So I'm just giving you kind of a means of practice to look at what I'm thinking, how I'm doing it. So when you get into these challenges and these programs, you have some ideas to follow, okay? All right, so now we've got the grippers closed, timer done. The next piece of this is we're going to want to raise this thing, right? So we're going to come up here. We want to grab another piece to cut and paste. I'll just grab this one right now. Okay. I'm going to grab this, throw it over here. I'm going to say grippers closed. We could do like we did on the other piece. We said it was I3, I think. Oh, I got to put a contact in there first. Grippers lowered this time, so we're making sure the grippers are lowered. We are going to go here. Raise grippers, so I'm going to grab that, throw that over here. And we're going to come over here and create a 14. And what are we going to say here? We're going to say what? Grippers raising. How about that? So then, the next piece of this, we made sure the delay for the closed grippers is taking place. We're telling the grippers to raise. We're going to go to what? We're going to go copy run, paste run above. So grippers close, grippers lowered, raise grippers. So this guy here, he's going to sit over here. This guy here is going to say what? Whoop, wrong one. Gripper no longer lowered, right? Just like we did before. Make him a 14. Raising, grippers raising. And make him a 15. 13, 14, 14. So again, by noticing how I'm keeping everything in a nice, neat, clean order, I could be pulling gaps like every 5 rungs. Maybe that'd be a good practice for you guys. Is I would do maybe 2 or 3 rungs, pull a gap, put go 1, 2, 3, say, and then 6, 7, 8, and then something like that. Or you could do 5, 6, 7, 8. 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, that kind of thing. So in the event you got to add a rung back in, you've got the gap. That's good practice. So me, I'm just kind of going along, incrementing by 1, just because I don't know. I should be pulling gaps, so I really should. And normally I would be. But this is just a practice thing here anyway, so we're just kind of winging it a little bit. So, okay, so here we have grippers raising. What's the next piece of this? We got to have grippers raised, of course, right? Copy run, paste run. Okay, so now I'm going to just grab this, just swing him over here. Switch him to what? Grippers lowered. Grippers lowered. Grippers not lowered anymore. So now I got to have what? Grippers raised, right? And that's got to be what? That piece there. So now I got to know when the grippers are raised. Make him 15. Raised. Drop him over there. And then I'll make him 16. Oh, yeah, 1, 0. So when I make 0, 16 makes B3 1, 0 because it's the next word. Not a big deal. I got that. So this would be grippers raised. So once it's raised, now what? Now I can like traverse or something, so I can send the slide left and right. So I could say let's do this. Grippers raised, timer done. Oops. I put a decimal in the end, but I guess I took it. So, okay, let's do some testing here. Maybe I'll put the timer in there. I can put the timer in there, I think. I'm going to cut and paste. Again. Copy run. Paste run. Below. Above. Here I'm going to grab this. Here. So when I see the grippers raised, this guy's going to come on, click him on it, so I don't need really him on. And I'm going to grab the next timer, 12 or 50. And let's see how that goes. Alright, let's make sure all of our bits are off. I got this guy on for some reason. So let's go to our table here. We're in run mode this time. B3s and 13. Okay, we got them all off now. Okay, let's start the process. So first piece of this is we gotta have 2 on because we want to say the grippers are raised. And the grippers are open, so that's off. So let's go through that process next. Okay. Start this guy. We've triggered this. The system running is going on and back off again. We're telling the gripper to lower. So that's in that place. And then we got gripper lower, so I'm going to go ahead and turn I2 off. I12 off. That gives us gripper lowering. So now envision the gripper lowering. Okay, so now we've reached the bottom. So we're hitting the bottom now. We've hit that switch of I3. So now we come into I3, click him on. Gripper lowering, or lowered, excuse me. So at that point we hit the 5-second timer. We hit the complete on that. And we click this guy on, which kicked on B311 immediately, right? So we triggered him to trigger him. So grippers, we're closing the grippers now. So then when we click this guy on, we're going to get the grippers closed timer done. So he's going to count to 50. That's going to give us the timers or grippers closed, timer done. So now we know the grippers have been closed for the allotted amount of time. Now we're telling the grippers to raise. So now we're here, telling the grippers to raise. So at this very moment, it's seeing it down. Now it's got to see it what? Raise. So we got to see I3 go from an on state to an off state, right? Because gripper low is not going to be lowered anymore. So we're telling the grippers to raise. So the grippers are starting to raise. It comes off the switch and makes grippers raising turn on. Grippers raisings are going to stay on until what? Till we see grippers raised, which is going to be what? 1, 2. So 1, 2 comes on. And now we got grippers raised. And we see the timer done take place. It'd be at that very moment that we would be what? We'd be hitting the next bit here. So that would be what? Let's go back to program mode. We could do something real simple here. I'm just going to call it the end of the program at this moment. So I'm going to go to here, create another rung, and say bit and a coil. T4:12 \dn. Gripper raise timer done. Gripper raise timer done. So, and then I download that piece. Okay, let's see if we got any bits on. I don't see any bits on, so we could walk that whole process one more time and make sure everybody's on board with what's going on here. So the first piece of this, as you can see, now that we ran one complete cycle, the raised input, gripper raise, we've already had to click that back on, that is good. But we haven't messed around with grippers, so we got to open the gripper segment so we're not confusing ourselves here. So we want to make sure we got the gripper raised, we've got the gripper lowered off. If we have any of these signals turned on, it would give us some trouble because it skipped through steps of the logic. So we just got to make sure we got the inputs set properly. Gripper raised is on, and gripper closed is off. Okay, so I'm going to trigger the one shot. So we're waiting to lower the gripper. So we open this guy up. So gripper is going to be lowering. We're going to close this guy to say what gripper is lowered. Is at that point it's going to time. When the timer is done, we get lowered done, timer done. At that very moment, we're going to say close the grippers. When we close, when the grippers are actually closed, which is I4, we're going to wait another 5 seconds, and then we're going to say grippers closed, timer done, and then we're going to tell the grippers to raise. We raise the grippers at that time. So we're starting to raise the grippers back up. And then we come into here, say grippers are raising, so I3 has to what? Turn off. So if it's on now, it's got to turn off. Now grippers are raising. So now think of it as they're raising up. You'll see that the gripper lift raising up. And when it reaches the top at 1, 2, I'm going to click that on, and then we're going to see grippers raised. And boom, we've completed one cycle. So by taking a transfer, bringing it down, closing the grippers, raising it back up to the top. Now, if you imagine, my next piece of this will be transferred to the right, which would be all these same steps, only in a different operation, right? So it's going to be different addressing, different inputs. So that is how I do my sequencing. It works for me. I've used it for years. I'm here to present to you. So if there's any questions regarding this stuff, just give me a shout. I'll talk to you soon.